Okay, everybody, I'm going to go through the last few items, the kind of crash and burn stuff as we wrap up the semester. First thing is I apologize getting this video to you late. I've been dealing with a sick kid, so I apologize getting here late, but I just want to wrap a few things up. Everybody should be in basically good shape, and I'm going to go ahead and let you, if you need to, get the essay in by Saturday, if that's, if you need the extra time, because I'm going to cover some of the things with the last drafts of the essay, of the art essay. And if you find, hey, I need a little bit more time to get this done, that's okay. You can get it to me on Saturday, by the end of the day on Saturday. I want everybody to be in good shape on this. Get it in, check off all the boxes, and wrap up the semester and go off and have a good holiday break, okay? Let me go through a few things. I always like to review the calendar a little bit, make sure we're all on the same page. The calendar, what we're going to have on the 13th and 14th, so Thursday and Friday, is quiz 4. Make sure you get that done. That's on chapter 4 in the grammar book. I'm not going to hold you for chapter 5. I'm going to take quiz 5 out of the mix. So just get quiz 4 done. And the big thing I want to emphasize with everybody, it goes after dependent clauses and parallels. That's the backbone of quiz 4. If you understand dependent clauses and parallels, you're going to be good. I'm not going to throw any screwballs at you at all. Those are impossible to understand if you don't understand chapter 3, or they're extremely difficult. And they kind of reinforce each other. Once you understand parallels, you understand verbs, and it's going to be parallels with verbs primarily, almost entirely. Once you understand how to parallel verbs, then you get verbs. Once you get verbs, then you can understand how to parallel those darn things. Dependent clauses, it's really about understanding those subordinating conjunctions. The because, if, since, when, although, all of those types of words. Okay? So get those down and you should be in good shape. In chapter 5, I still want to encourage you to go through chapter 5, especially that little section on however. Always keep in mind that however, even though it means the same thing as although, it functions very differently. Although is a subordinating conjunction, okay? It joins one clause, a dependent clause, onto an independent clause. So although can do that, and although can't move around a sentence. The whole clause either goes to the front or to the back, okay? If you finish chapter 4, you know what I'm talking about, okay? However is an adverb. It's called a conjunctive adverb. So I always compare those to like your little brother. However can jump around a sentence without bringing a clause with it. Okay. Many students misuse however and act like it's an although and try to join two clauses together with it. It doesn't do that. However refers to previous sentences. It can come at the front of the sentence, middle of the sentence, or the end of the sentence. Okay. So be careful with that. I just always give you a heads up on that. Even though, the words mean the exact same thing. But, although, and however mean the same thing. But but's a coordinating conjunction, although is a subordinating conjunction, and however is an adverb, a conjunctive adverb. Okay? So just make you aware of that, because I think that's important as you go through your college career, knowing how to use although and however to make exceptions to things. Okay? Now let's see. So we got the calendar down. You got the quiz coming up. I went ahead and I pushed the art essay up until Saturday, okay? And I'm going to cover some things. Now, many of you are going to want to just get it in and get it off your plate. That's great, okay? Some of you already have. That's great. You got some Christmas shopping to do. Great. So you got to do it. And so a few of you have sent it in already. You can send it in before if you just want to get it out of the way. But if you want to take care of a few other things, you can, okay? Or get it by the writing lab, you can. So also the journal is due that day. Again, a number of you have gotten the journals into me. Thank you. I'll give a look at them and all that kind of stuff in the coming days. So so you can get those in, but last second, crash and burn. The official last day of the semester is the 15th. So I'll allow you to get the last assignments in on that day, okay? Now, let me go through the art essay one more time and just guide you through it, what we're looking for. I've been working on my art essay. And even did a little bit more work. I'm hoping I can get away with it with this teacher. He's kind of difficult. But let me show you what's going on with mine and what I was doing with it and how it's changed over time. You saw me go through the first draft stages and how I jumbled things around. But the big thing was in the early draft stages when you're interpreting art, you are usually describing the form, okay? What's going on with the form of the piece. You don't necessarily know what they're doing. You haven't done the research, but what you're doing is kind of getting the lay of the land. How is this working? Who is talking to whom in the picture? Is throwing this there? You know, what colors are going around? That really exposes the aesthetic that the artist did to kind of bring things together. That first stage where you kind of go at it, tabula rasa, blank slate, go at it and try to figure it out how the artist is composing this picture. That's kind of the formalism. That's how it's put together. And it's very important that you went to that without any background research, because that allows you to kind of be affected by the artwork in and of itself. And then what I did, and again, keep in mind with that early draft stage, I was totally wrong about a lot of things, okay? Totally, completely wrong. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with being wrong, especially in the rough draft stage. If there were, I would be in big trouble. And then I started to look into Exodus and how the art, you know, what the story was in Exodus behind this story. And man, that explained a lot of things as to what was going on. I actually could identify Moses and Zephaniah, or Zipporah, excuse me, Zipporah, who she was and what was going on. But very important, in the story, Zipporah is a very different character than what I saw in Perugino's painting. I would not have probably seen that Zipporah was absolutely central to the aesthetic of the painting if I had read Exodus first, especially if I had read some of the outside sources. I just would not have caught that. Okay, I caught that and realized that this woman, I didn't know her name, but I'd find out soon, was central to the whole painting. And that was a decision, this is very important, that Perugino, I believe Perugino was making. And that changes everything. If I had gone to the outside sources first, before I went to the evidence, that wouldn't have dawned on me. I would not have been able to uncover that Perugino was doing something very different than just telling the story. He wasn't just putting the story into pictures. He was really interpreting the Bible with the painting. He was seeing Zipporah, as far as I can tell, Zipporah is much more central to that whole narrative than the narrative actually places her at. He thinks she does more, okay? And that's great. You know, that really, I think what she did in the end was give it an aesthetic of beauty by calming everything and having it all under control. So let me go through the third draft stage and show you it a little bit, what I was doing with it. I'm now going to act like I'm Susie McFluffy. Let's get rid of, it's not Pendleton up here, it should be McFluffy up here, right? Let's get this right. Let's not be stupid, okay? There we go. So I, altered that, and I showed everybody that you have to do page lay. Oh wait, no, you have to do insert to get that in there. I'm on insert right now, and I showed somebody on an Apple earlier today. It works kind of the same. You go to insert, and you look for the page number, and I do it at the top of the page, and I pick it to the top right. Okay, I had somebody today putting it in the bottom. Don't put it there. Okay, so I put it up there. That's how I did it, and then. So what I had was act like I have nothing at all here. So to make sure everybody knows, you do insert, works like this, pretty much the same on an Apple. Top of the page, then you go to the right one, and there it is, okay? Then I double click on it, and I put my last name, okay, and that goes ahead and inserts it for, and I haven't been too strict on this in previous essays, but I really want to be strict on this one, okay? So, and that's it. That's the format. And what I was showing you guys last time, let me put myself up here. I'm kind of in the way. Let me get rid of myself. Go away. There we go. What I was showing you last time was where I was, is I had developed all the body paragraphs. I wasn't done, but I was in pretty good shape. So I had, first of all, I had segmented the painting out, got the pieces. Notice this is too big. I need to resize that. I'll take care of that. But I set the context. I made 3 attempts at the thesis statement to bring everything together. And I'm going to show you how I did it finally in the end. Okay? I've got to cover aesthetics, and I've got to provide an insight into Perugino's painting. I don't really know exactly what Perugino was thinking. I can't open his brain up now. It's kind of too late. But I can try to interpret what I think is really going on in the painting. And so I have to do that here. And we'll come back to this. But you saw that I had the segments of the painting and I was interpreting them. I had it organized, and I only did 3 body paragraphs. I'm kind of lazy. You need to do 4. And I interpreted this section, and this is where I really moved Zipporah into the middle of my interpretation. And then pow, right here at the end. She's the man, okay? She's making this happen, okay? And you're getting my interpretation right here. He and the angel are the ones who seem to be paying the most attention to the circumcision. Okay, and Moses is there and everything else, but I need to get more on the aesthetics and put it together a little bit better. And I need a conclusion, I need the works cited and all that. So this looks, and let me come back in here. This looks a lot like an essay. It's getting there. You can tell I'm right on the cusp of having a good essay. Now I can, like, you know, take a break, come back to it. I'm going to be polishing everything up, wrapping up that thesis, putting the introduction all together and all that, and making sure I've got the interpretation all tied together. Okay, let's go to that. Let's get rid of all this silliness. Let's see, is this the other one? Is that the fourth draft? Here's the 4th draft. This is where I'm almost done. Okay, this is where you want to be. This is where I've brought in, I've really finalized my interpretation, and now I'm bringing in an outside source, somebody outside, and I kind of disagree and agree with him. This outside source I found, I brought it in, but I really want to emphasize, I've already developed my interpretation of the artwork. And this is very important, something I want you to all keep in mind. Let me jump up over here. Okay. I want you to all keep in mind as you go through and you're a college student working your way through whatever field of study you're doing. If you use these methods, this slow thinking is good thinking. You examine the evidence carefully. Your insights are just as good, if not a little bit better, than what any expert out there says about the same work of art, the same piece of literature, artwork, philosophy, in political science, even in business, if they're analyzing statistics. Whatever the evidence is, if you've gone through and you've done your careful work, your slow thinking is good thinking. You've broken down the evidence and you've reflected upon the importance of it. You need to rest assured that your analysis is just as good as anybody else's. Okay, you're as rational and insightful as anybody else's. Always trust that about yourself. Okay, if you've done the early stages, and I really want to emphasize that, that's where I am right now. So I went out there and then I found an expert in it. Okay, this is my secondary source, and I want to emphasize you can use any kind of other secondary source. The Vasari is a secondary source, and I will accept that as one, but I always think you can do better and go to an outside one. If you want to really get an A, go out and get somebody writing today, you know, somebody writing recently in the last 20, 30 years or so. If not, you can get histories that are connected to the Renaissance and your artist, or you can get histories connected to the subject of the painting. That's fine. Something outside that you can bring into this. Okay. Now I had Exodus and a few other things, but I really wanted to, you know, impress this guy and show him that I can really interpret this. And I want to show you what happened here. I've got all the formatting down. I've got an introduction that gives an overview of everything that's going on. I brought in a little bit of outside history from Exodus and about the Sistine Chapel from Wikipedia. Okay. Oops, that didn't want that. Let's undo that. Now, Wikipedia is not a great outside source. It's an easy one. If you get it and you use it, that's okay, but it's not really that good. Okay. It's encyclopedia stuff. It's not really highfalutin. But it's okay. So I got a little Sistine Chapel stuff on them, and Vasari stuff out here. Notice, by the way, a little thing on the citations. I only have Vasari's name in here because I do not mention Vasari here. Normally, you do not need the author's name in the citation. But because I don't mention Vasari up here, you need to know that that basic fact is from Vasari. Okay? Some of this is from Wikipedia, and I've got to put the Wikipedia citation in there. I've got to get that in there. Okay? Some of it from Exodus, you can just, you know, you don't need a specific citation. If you just say Exodus 4 or something like that, that's fine. I'm not using a specific quotation there, so I'm okay. Now, here's my final, so this is my overall introduction. It gets both Moses in there, it gets Zipporah in there, it gets something about Perugino. Notice I can finally pronounce his name without waving my hand in the air. Okay, that's kind of a success. But here's my thesis statement. Perugino's fresco creates a maternal beauty by resolving the difficult and troubling story of Moses' return to Egypt with a harmony created by Zipporah's calm wisdom and maternal care when she realizes the circumcising her son, when she realizes circumcising her son will resolve the crisis that threatens Moses and his people. That's now a better thesis. It's Zipporah's intervention that brings the calm and calms the troubling aspect. So this is a beauty problematized by the difficulties that Moses runs into. So I'm going to discuss those issues that are brought up with Moses and his problems he's confronting. I could have taken it in a sublime manner and gone in that direction, but I really felt this is Zipporah's painting more than anything. That's what I felt. I could have taken it from Moses' perspective and said it was more sublime. I don't think it is. That's me. So I'm just interpreting it that way. So that's my introduction. I got those elements in there. I give an overview of the painting, of Perugino, of Exodus, and everything else. And here it is now. This is the essay. This is what I'm looking for. I set the context. I have this. I could probably shrink this down a little bit. Whatever. Then I have my discussion of it, and I have my analysis. The start of the narrative is beautiful since it portrays a calm and stable scene that is balanced, but it also is careful to portray Moses as a central figure for his community, which is something Foster argues is common among Renaissance artists. Foster is my outside source, okay? That's what I wanted to bring up. I'm going to kind of disagree with him, with what he's doing, because I still think Zipporah is at the center of this. And notice, I could not have done that if I had gone to the outside source and was influenced by Foster. I probably would have ended up focusing on Moses throughout, and I would have missed the centrality of Zipporah. At least I think she's central. And that's what I really want to emphasize, okay? So Foster's idea applies to one part of the painting, but I don't think to the others, okay? And so here I am moving to the other part where I think Foster is starting to miss. And you can see Moses is here, Zipporah is here, okay? I hope you're with me on this. You can disagree with me and still say Moses is leading the way. I think she's central, okay? So notice that's analysis. It's not just opinion. I think she's framed by the children and framed by these gold, robes and everything. I think she's the center of it, and I have good reason to think it. Okay. The portrayal of Moses as a father figure is evident with him in the front of the people, but the one being decisive in embodying wisdom is Zipporah. That contradicts Foster. You know what I'm doing? I'm saying, Foster, you're wrong and I'm right. That's what I'm doing here. Who is not attracting attention to herself, but is occupying the central position in the scene. She is the one who provides the calmness in the middle of an otherwise threatening moment, and shows that Foster's insight misses her centrality in painting. It'd be nice if I could spell painting, huh? There we go. So that's what I'm doing. I'm replacing Moses because I think he's doing it. And I'm disagreeing with Foster. Okay? And so you can see what I've done. The threat of the previous scene is removed by her presence and attention to their son. Foster sees, and again, notice I'm disagreeing with him here. is his attention to their son. Foster sees Moses being configured as a father figure in the Renaissance, but here Perugino is placing him. I got to learn how to write. You can see I wasn't totally done. Placing him at the side, while Zipporah occupies the position of the one who protects both her family and her people. She, not Moses, becomes the source of harmony and beauty in the painting. That's analysis, okay? And again, I wouldn't have gotten that if I'd gone to Exodus first. I would not have gotten that, especially if I'd gone to Foster first. He would have poisoned my brain and told me to pay attention to Moses, okay? Who cares about Moses, right? Here's my conclusion with my thesis. I could expand this a little bit better, do a little bit better on that. I won't waste your time with that now. Let's get this semester done, huh? But then I want to show you, so that's my conclusion, and that's how it works. And so I want to put more of Zipporah more at the center of it, and I used my outside sources. I used Vasari, I used Foster, and Vasari really became something to kind of launch me, to get me going. I didn't really engage with him. And I, only partially engaged with Exodus. Boy, did they help me a lot. They really did. But the one I mostly engaged with was Foster, okay? Because I think he's wrong. He's probably a great guy. Don't tell him I said this about him, okay? Now, here's my works cited. This is what I want to see by the end, okay? I'm going to have to add probably a little bit from Wikipedia or something like that. Here's Brett Foster. This was the book I used from outside, and I found this after I really had my work done. And it's a collection of essays. And here's Brett Foster. I don't know where he's a professor at, but he's somewhere. And this was the essay where he does that. And it's from a book called Illuminating Moses by Brill, 2013. It's in print. Okay. Here's Perugino. I can get to the painting that way. And here's Vasari. This is the copy you have. Now, make sure you know you get these right. Now, I really want to give a little bit of a heads up. The last essays, there was a serious problem. Some of you guys made me cry with the works cited either not being completed or being completed poorly. Please take a couple of extra minutes and get your works cited correct. If you need to go to the Purdue University site and get it right, go for it. If you need to swing by the VVC, and you can contact them online too. The VVC Writing Lab to double check on a specific question. You can't just ask them, fix it for me, or could you fix it? Ask them a specific question. Do I have my works cited listing for my first entry correct? Do I, if you're specific, they can answer it for you. So get a hold of them, get your works cited good. Boy, oh boy, it would really make my Christmas if you had good works cited pages. Okay, so get all that done, and that's kind of where mine is. If you guys can do something like that, again, mine's a little short, but those are the elements you're looking for. You can see that I could have added a fourth body paragraph, and I may have balanced it out more with Moses and a little less on Zipporah. I doubt it, though. I kind of like her now. But that's what I did, okay? So I hope that helps you get this last essay in anytime by Saturday. I am around in my office tomorrow on Thursday in the morning. I'm taking a lot of last-second questions from folks. I should be around Friday also, Friday in the morning for a bit. I do hope so. So if you need to see me or call me, give me a call. Okay, let's get all this in, get it off the shelf. You guys have been good online classes this semester. I really appreciate it. And I'll wish you the best with your degrees, and have a good year, okay? Take care, folks. Be safe.